It's time for the View in Your Mirror podcast. I'm Katie Harms, and along with Lisa Rubin, we help you check in and curate the best possible you and the best view in your mirror. We share tips, tricks, and strategies from our 35 plus years in our respective industries. We talk about your day from morning to night and everything in between. We share our uniqueness, relish in our shared experiences. Along the way, we share conversation with fabulous people who give us their own thought-provoking insights. So come along as we help you hone the best view in your mirror.
Lisa.
Good morning, Katie.
Hey, this is an important question.
Ready?
How do you define luxury?
How do I define luxury? Well, I think
You even say it luxuriously.
I think for me, to define it, it would be something that when you put something on or you wear something or you have something in your home and you look at it and makes you feel really special and good, to me, that's luxurious. Now, there's luxury that's expensive, but then there's luxury that might not be expensive, but it's luxury to you. For example, a bubble bath with lots of bubbles, warm water if you're a bath person, and you get in that bathtub and you put your head back and you light a candle, to me, that's luxury.
And you luxuriate in that tub.
Because you get to take time for yourself. So to me, that's one definition of luxury. Of course, there's your designer stuff, and that's luxury too. But I think there's many different ways that you can feel luxurious.
And to determine what that is, I think everyone has to determine what their tenets of luxury are.
Yeah. I mean, some people, it's going on a vacation without your children.
Right. Sometimes
say, how was your vacation? And they'll say it was luxurious.
Yeah. They might have gone to the cabin. They might have sat in a canoe on a lake for 15 minutes uninterrupted.
and watch the sunset. That's luxury to me.
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes luxury is time.
Yes.
How do you get the luxury of time in lives that are so incredibly busy? What I'm finding with clients who are moving into their dream homes or remodeling, recently finished up with a client who lived in a home for 20 plus years and did a complete gut on that home. And we were able to redesign and really think about how they lived in that space. What were their luxury items that they wanted to maintain or what they wanted to put in? And that's an interesting process after having been somewhere and essentially moving out of it to move back into an entirely new place.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's
mentally,
a lot.
Physically, that's a whole nother podcast, but moving on its own.
Moving on its own. The luxury of being able to move forward and seeing the benefits in these moves, and it's almost a frame of reference, right? Where you're coming from. I know we have many friends who are, I think we need to probably look for a different term of sandwich generation, but I think everyone understands that. So they might not have the luxury of a lot of time, but they're helping their parents get moved to their next place. And they're helping them create their meaningful relationship as they move on. So I think you're right. It's a whole nother podcast, but talking about what do you determine are those luxury items or luxury needs or your touch points of what you bring on to the next phase of your life, because no one is standing still.
Right.
We're all moving through this continuum of time, and how you move through it and what you bring with you, whether it's your wardrobe, whether it's your friendships, whatever it is, how you keep that mindset of wanting to be in that space of your own personal luxury.
That's very well said, Katie. And let's add to that a little thing that I've talked about many times. And when you're thinking of luxury, think in terms of what it is, anything that you have luxurious, something that feels lucky to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do that. When I have a really special day or I have a podcast guest that I'm really excited about, I have my lucky jacket and I put that on, not because I think it's going to make it better for me, but it makes me feel better right from the get-go.
Yeah. It's your touchstone.
But for some people, it might be a piece of furniture that was their grandmother's, that when they look at it every day in their house, they're like, it's that warm cup of coffee. Some people, that cup of coffee in the morning is their luxury of the day. So I think everybody should just kind of think about that after listening to this podcast. What are my luxury pieces? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the expensive designer pieces that you have. It can be anything.
And sometimes, it's truly just thinking about the gratitude you have for those pieces. I'm working with someone who's sold their home of 20 plus years and going into their first apartment, and their thought process, they're going to be renting for a year to see how they like this next phase. And we tend to struggle with uncertainty after we've reached levels in our careers or but uncertainty seems to be what's swirling around this person, right? Uncertainty with parents' health, uncertainty with kids and jobs. And we go back to what can we control? We can control our reaction and our efforts to things. And then taking it in small bites of what are those luxury things that will carry you through to that next step? What are your non-negotiables that you need to bring with you? And one of the non-negotiables for him was this beautiful small antique table over 100 years old. And that was an important piece that needs to go forward with them. And I think giving ourselves the grace and giving ourselves the permission to think about those luxury items as we go through life and saying, hey, if not now, then when, and what that really looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thinking about luxury and thinking about something that people think about when they potentially say, oh, that's not anything I'd want to do, that's too luxurious, are fur coats. We have an opportunity to talk to Donna Salyers. She is the owner of Fabulous Furs. And of course, everyone thinks fur and they think luxury and they think high cost. And this is a fur alternative. And it is exciting. She has a fabulous background, and she talks about stepping stones. She and her husband, neither of whom are college educated, have built a fabulous life, family-centered, from real estate, where they've moved and renovated 22 homes. They're into fitness and health. She has won numerous awards and appeared on many TV platforms. And we have the opportunity to chat with her today and learn all about Fabulous Furs and what luxury and luxury brands means to her. So let's welcome Donna Salyers. I got the name right?
That's exactly correct. Thank you.
Oh, well, that's what happens when you ask the question after you do the intro. But we adjust, right? And what is life if not a series of adjustments and some good timing and some hard work and effort? And as you talk about stepping stones.
Stepping stones, it's everything, everything, every job I've ever had helps me today.
And looking back, using the word pioneer, you are the pioneer in the luxury faux fur industry. But what I feel is a better term for you is you are the standard bearer.
I like that.
Very good, Katie. I like that one.
I think you're who everyone holds themselves to, trying to reach that level. As you've said, and as we talked about a bit coming into this, there's room for other people, right? Competition is good. There's friendly competition. There's all of that. You can't possibly put out all the designs that people may want or need. But to be that standard bearer, what does that mean to you? How have you seen that progression over how you got started and where you are now?
Well, that's a lovely accusation, and I'll take that. But I started because I wrote a syndicated newspaper column on the subject of sewing and fashion. And I'm from Covington, Kentucky. It's hillbilly land. And when I went to New York for the first time to do I had to go to New York to do a TV show. And I realized that everyone in the early 80s was head to toe in mink or sable or something, except for me. And I said, I am not going back to New York till I have a full-length mink coat. Even if I have to make the thing out of fabric, I'll do it. And I did. I had to do that because we had 2 little kids, and my husband and I we hadn't established ourselves. But I go to New York in my coat that I had finished the night before. Now I could sew really well, and I wore this coat, and people stopped me on the street to say, wow, that's a fabulous coat. And of course I ate it up because I thought, God, how will it fly in New York? It looks good in my mirror, but I'm worried because I always felt like very much the country mouse going to the big city. But people, they won't check my coat because they can't take responsibility for a coat of this value. Each incident gave me confidence. And finally, maybe 5 years into it, like by 1988, I had worn this coat to death. I had taught so many classes on how to sew fake fur. You can try on my coat and see how fabulous it is. And people did that. They wanted fur too, because they probably didn't have the money just like I did. At some point, I had $5,000 in cash. And this was in 1988, at which 5,000 was a lot, maybe 20,000 in today's dollars. And as I'm driving, I'm going to buy myself a full-length mink coat. I'm not asking anyone's permission. I will surprise my husband and buy myself a coat. And as I'm driving to a fur salon in Cincinnati, Paul Harvey comes onto my car radio describing kittens being skinned alive and passed off as mink teddy bears. And I was so taken by that thought. My progression was, and I guess I'm about to buy a full-length kitty coat. And what person could ever do that? And in hindsight, I'm sure it was divine intervention. But I said, I can't do it. I will not buy a coat, but I think I'll start a sewing kit business. People love my coat. They call it fabulous. I'll start Fabulous Furs as a single one product sewing kit company. And it took me a year, but we debuted in 1989, and I did 300,000 in the first year out of my basement. People wanted to sew my kit. I only had one color, one style, one everything. And that's a lot of money in 1989, 300,000 for a business, a one-man show operating out of our basement. And it grew from there. And gradually I became the ready-to-wear department. I was everything. And my husband, I'm blessed with the perfect husband who has always dealt in commercial real estate. And he would have an office. Jim, I need space. I've got to expand. And he would come up with some little crummy office. And we grew and grew and grew. And we've had many iterations of Fabulous Furs from multi-level marketing, because a person would call and say, hey, I want 6 of your kits. I say, 6? Why? Well, my next door neighbor saw mine and she wants me to make one for her. People started cottage industries based on Fabulous Furs. And we've had an amazing track record of finding ways to reinvent ourselves. And then people quit sewing. And, oh my gosh, I've got to be the ready-to-wear department. Oh my gosh, I better hire some more sewers. And that's how Fabulous Furs has grown. And today, we're sold in 46 countries. We've been in the Neiman Marcus Christmas book. You know what that is. That's a Big deal. We've been in there with something that we design, a proprietary product. I think 12 or 13 consecutive years, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud that we're in Neiman's and that they didn't want private label. That was our first offering to say, hey, we can do private label. We'll call it, no, we like your reputation. So that's a little sketch of how Fabulous First. It's not me. It's just I take the next step.
What do you mean it's not you?
Well, people say, oh my gosh, you're so visionary. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not visionary at all. I'm simply driven and I want to be the best. Maybe it's just some inborn competitive thing that I don't want to sell crummy gopher. I want to be the world's finest.
But you also, I think, are a person that watches, observes, and listens. And so those three things, you take that all in and then you take the next step.
Well, and I think anyone who's ever had a business or even had a job, of course, you better be watching and observing and reacting. And especially if the company depends on you. And God knows our company is a lot more than me because I am not the financial person. It's all about finance. It's all about IT, having the proper website and looking like Neiman Marcus, even though we're based in Covington, Kentucky. We still want to portray that persona. So you really don't know where we are. We don't look like hillbilly Kentucky.
Did you always have your factory where you produce the coats in Covington or?
No, we started out in Cincinnati. It's Greater Cincinnati, and Covington is part of Greater Cincinnati metropolitan. And I think we're like the 29th or 30th largest, we're small town, 29th or 30th metropolitan district. But yes, my husband rescued me. He's from Cincinnati and everybody moved to Cincinnati if they could, because, they say people in Kentucky don't wear shoes and they barely have teeth. And so we moved to, really, seriously, when we got married, we moved to Cincinnati and then we moved back to Kentucky because if you want good buys in real estate, you'll start in Covington. So,
well, you maintained your cost, and it sounds like you have a really strong labor pool that you built from, almost like a little bit of a best kept secret.
Yeah, I think you could say that. Covington is just its own place. But places like this are all over this country. We have the big sports teams, we have touring musicians, and we have cheap real estate on Kentucky side of the river. And so now people are gravitating because we all like a bargain.
Well, I think some of the things that I'm hearing from your story too is you have inquisitivity. You also have the beautiful ability to question and continue to ask those questions to continue to learn so that you can so it's not so much visionary, but there's a little bit of fearlessness, but foresight into seeing that something may take off.
Some people would call that crazy. They would say, are you nuts? Are you nuts? And yeah, so you're ADHD, but it's not diagnosed. I enjoy a lot going on. We've lived in 22 homes. We've done renovations. I love to decorate. And Jim, being in real estate, he's been my partner in crime. And I like change. I enjoy fresh, and I like a challenge, I guess.
That's a wonderful combination. And you also keep a humbleness to you, Donna, that is refreshing.
That's what hillbillies do. Come on, Katie.
Well, we would call that Minnesotan too. I think we're a little low key, and I'm not. I'm a little more. I think I've always functioned more as a New Yorker than a Minnesotan, although I'm a lifelong Minnesotan.
Our,
A little more in your face, a little more straightforward on things. I can't say that I know a lot of hillbillies, so this is fun, refreshing.
I have a couple questions though. When you were starting out to build your product line, were you the one that like created the idea and the patterns and what you wanted to do? Or did you have like a team of people that kind of guided you?
Oh, how funny you are. Oh, Lisa. No.
Is this where you want to say bless your heart, Lisa?
Well, I mean, I figured it was you in the beginning, but that's a lot.
Lisa, I was the ready to wear department. I was the designer. I was, if we've got to take stuff to UPS to get it out overnight, I'll do that too. I really, if you start a business, you'll be doing everybody's job. And maybe you learn how to do their job first so that you can help them. But for the first 15 years, and we've been around 35, I was the designer. And thank God we now have 2 editions.
I mean, I figured that was the answer, but I didn't know because I've been involved in many scenarios like this. Mm-hmm. And know another person who's a designer and have watched her business grow. And it's a lot. It takes a lot.
And retail is not easy. Retail is not for the timid or the faint of heart.
No. And you have to have very thick skin.
Hey, it works fine.
Well, I think the ability to know your priorities too. You're very family focused. That above all was your comment as we got background on you was family trumps all.
Oh, it does. Really, at the end of the day, you have good days and bad days in business. But gosh, if your family is hurting or somebody is sick or something going on, that's really tough. That's the toughest.
What's your work makeup? Like, how many employees do you have now?
We've shrunk. We expand and then we shrink back, but we're very seasonal, as you can imagine. In July, people are not thinking about faux fur. But now, wow, with weather like this, you can go from 500 orders a day to close to 2,000 orders a day. And you better get those out in like 24 hours. And it's not easy to manage a very seasonal business. So we do the best we can. And I'm very proud of something, and I didn't do it, but people within our company. We have sewers, I don't know, maybe 20 to 25 people who cut and sew and QC, etc. We have cross-trained them to work in the warehouse, and we were able to raise their salaries, teach them computer literacy. The majority, almost down to the last person, love it. And they're making more money, and God is good. That's all I can say. Because there aren't people standing in line who know how to sew to hire. And so there aren't people who can't wait to work in a warehouse part-time or, seasonally. And so now that has been such a blessing to figure out that component.
Do you have a lot of business like in Australia, New Zealand, because it's the opposite that you?
I wouldn't say a lot of business, but I've been doing Australian home shopping since 2016. And of course, the first time I went there, have you ever been to Australia? I've not been to New Zealand, but Sydney is where our TVSN is located. They have palm trees. You don't have cold weather when you have palm trees. But of course, Australia is a large country, and we do plenty of business in Australia. But there aren't many people also. They're the size of their population size of New York, maybe. I'm not sure, but they have a very small population. So I'm very grateful that we're still on TBS in Sydney, Australia.
That's fantastic. Actually, that's a trip that I'm taking, Australian and New Zealand,
Really?
Coming up in January. Yes, I'm so
Good luck.
excited about it.
How
And we'll be
wonderful.
spending some time in Sydney. Yeah, never been. So very, very excited.
Well, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And we'll be there in January, which will be their summer. So I don't think I'm going to see a lot of fabulous furs. But I tell you what, I want to talk more about really what your day looks like, how you organize yourself, your personal branding ideas. But I have to tell you, of the one fabulous fur that I have now, it will not be my last. I have never had a piece of clothing in my wardrobe that I have had so many comments about so
Really?
quickly.
What does it look like, Katie?
I have the vest. I have the light colored taupey vest. I'm not sure what the style
And
is.
is it long knee length?
Yes, it's not, well, I'm 6 feet tall, so it's above the
Oh,
knee
you
on
really?
me.
Wow.
It's a little above the knee, and I found it at Sweet Ivy, and I fell madly in love, and it had to go home with me, and I have worn it beyond, and I think I've probably sold, well, I know I've been with two friends who have purchased since,
Oh,
and
well,
have
I
given
love it.
a lot of people have now know about you because of my piece, and they might have known about you before. So let's take a quick break. I want to come back and talk about you, your personal brand, what that looks like.
You are invited to make your way to a beautifully inventive and delightful store in the Galleria called Sweet Ivy. Becky Leffler's inspiration for the store comes from her vacations in Marco Island, where she relished in the sensory delights, intoxicating aromas, vivid colors, and exquisite products in the local gift shops. She has gone on to curate a beautiful selection of apparel, shoes, accessories, and gifts born of her love for unique products and her unwavering belief in her vision brought to life and cared for by a fabulous staff. Feminine, chic, pieces that will elevate and stay in your wardrobe for years to come. Brands like Tyler Bow from Rhode Island, Spartina 449, and Magic Pants by Lise. Not to be forgotten is Littles by Sweet Ivy, their predominantly children's store and home to Barefoot Dreams, which you need to experience. Give yourself the gift of this store in the Galleria. Shop Sweet Ivy. ShopSweetIvy.com.
You know, we talked on the intro, Donna. We're with Donna Salyers of Fabulous Furs, and we talked on the intro about what luxury means. I asked Lisa what luxury meant to her, and we really talked about that it's a little bit different to everyone. But with Fabulous Furs, faux furs, that idea of the few people that I've been with when they bought theirs and they put them on, and the view, the look on their face, and the view that they have when they look in their mirror that they're trying that on, there's just it's a swagger, it's a feeling for what I would say is a very doable price point. How did that all come together in your mind of how that had to look?
Well, thank you, Katie. I love that thought because when I wore my coat that I had made from fake fur to New York and people stopped me on the street to tell me I look fabulous. And they didn't know it was faux fur. And believe me, faux fur 35 years ago wasn't nearly what it is today. You know, it kind of rang a bell and I thought, how is this possible? I finished this coat last night. And, you know, it took me a while to process all that. But I love quality, even though I'm blue collar. We have, you know, if I wanted pretty clothes, I made them. I learned how to sew at a very early age because my grandmother taught me. And if you want something, you make it. And that's how we grew up. And sewing was a very ordinary, I bet your mother's sewed because there were no China imports that were so inexpensive. And so I grew up that way with an appreciation for quality. Then I wrote a syndicated newspaper column on sewing and fashion for 17 years. And I would go to New York and see Saks Fifth Avenue. And I would walk around there and think, anything I see here, I can make. And it will actually be better than buying it from Saks. Number one, it will fit because I'm 5'2" and it's not easy to fit somebody who's 5'2". And so I just had that mindset going in that I love quality. I don't want to sell crap. And I'm just going to be the best that, and you say, what is luxury? It's something different to everyone. So what my idea of luxury is probably different than Oprah Winfrey. However, Oprah is a customer. And in fact, she wore a coat that I sewed and designed. She wore it on the cover of O magazine. And we were her favorite thing. And we ended up on, like Entertainment Tonight because, Oprah's favorite things. Let's talk about that. They always need fodder for the show. You got to write about something or talk about something. And so they would talk about fabulous furs, really. How about that? And so we've had all kinds of experiences like that. And then think of Mariah Carey. Big deal. She can have anything. When she needed a cape, and Mariah Carey, maybe she's not as tall as you, Katie, but she's 5'10", and then she wears maybe 4-inch heels. She needed a white mink cape to wear on a CBS Christmas special. They called us. And lo and behold, Kristen Bolt, who's our lead designer now, she's 5'10", and she'll be the fit model. And, that was how we did that. But we've just had many customers that you would just never expect to find fabulous furs, but they have. And I'm forever grateful.
That's so incredible.
I actually think I remember watching Mariah Carey on that special. Now, when you were saying it, in my mind, I see the photo, and I think I remember that. It looked beautiful on her. I mean, it's perfect for her.
Well, here's another one. Adele, the beautiful voice from England. She was wearing our coat at LeBron James' birthday party in January of 2024. And wow, we didn't know Adele was a customer. This is amazing. And here she's dancing next to Beyonce and Jay-Z wearing our coat that came from Covington, Kentucky. So
back to how do you define luxury? It's what makes you feel good.
Yeah. I think that's very succinctly put.
Yeah. To be able to, wow. I love that you have maintained control of your company enough that you can be available to do the type of specialty things when they come to you.
Yeah, we're so lucky because most companies don't have a sewing workroom where we draft patterns. We have patterns hanging, thousands of patterns. And it's definitely set us apart.
I have seen a room like that, and I get like giddy when I can see that because I understand that and I get it. And it's like, some people get really excited to get on a motorcycle and take a ride. I get excited about going into a pattern room and watching how things are designed. Like,
well, Lisa, you're weird, but I'm just like you.
I am weird, Donna. But I mean, I am fascinated by that because people just don't understand how long it takes to get one thing on a hanger and out the door. So,
well, thank you. It's lovely that you appreciate the process.
I understand exactly where you two are at, although I'm not there, but where I am is when I go into a lumber yard or I go into when I worked in the construction industry and we could talk, Donna, for hours about remodeling. And I think I too have probably over 20 homes that I've remodeled and done and we've worked on, but I love there's trim that goes around doors and windows. And in the company that I worked for many years, they had a trim room. And I looked at it. It reminded me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom when you walk into the room and they had all these lineups of all the different molding profiles and these knives that make the different molding profiles. And some of them dating back to the 1800s in these old homes. And and the smell of that wood. And that was my little happy place. That's like you going into your pattern rooms. I love that because that helped tell a story of each house, and each piece that you do tells a story, and then it gets to live a life with the person that's wearing it. And that becomes a whole nother part of your journey. It's just so beautiful what you've done and what you've created. And truly, I think you're a visionary, even though you don't want to go towards that word. It keeps popping up in my head to what you've created. But I want to flip for a second. What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, this morning, I wake up at 6:30 and I start thinking, what have I got to get done today? Okay, I better go start email and see what emergencies to take care of, etc. And I'm 1,000 miles from our business in Kentucky. I'm in Florida at this moment, and I'm planning to go to Philadelphia. I'll be on QVC on Saturday morning. And so I think, what do I have to plan for that? And, I just really enjoy the process. I love problem solving. It's our company. And I've emailed with a couple of people back in the office, and they're telling me, oh my God, you can't believe the orders. So we all solve problems all day long.
Are your children involved in the business at all?
Our daughter is in the business. She started the wholesale division, and we had no wholesale accounts when she came aboard. She landed a cold call with Peter Nordstrom, as in Nordstrom out of Seattle. So that was our first wholesale account. And that gave us great confidence to call on Saks. If Nordstrom likes us, wow, this is amazing. And okay, Saks, who's Saks competition? Oh, Neiman Marcus, and so on. And then you pick up smaller accounts, of course. But Sweet Ivy, oh my gosh, what a lovely, lovely account they are, and what a powerhouse of a business.
Yeah. And if you have the opportunity, I don't know if you've seen pictures or videos of her pop-up store. Talk about having a vision to put something together and make it fabulous. It is a fabulous backdrop for fabulous furs, that's for sure.
Well, I
told her the other day that I like going in there. I'd like to bring a cup of hot chocolate and sit on the bench in the back room and pretend that I'm like in a ski lodge out of town, but I'm warm. I mean, that's like the feel that she did, her and her daughter, and they did an unbelievable job.
She's gifted for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. Lisa, you had some other questions.
I had some other questions.
Oh, lucky piece. What's your lucky piece? Do you have a lucky piece in your wardrobe or lucky pieces?
No, I sell them. No.
Oh,
there we go. I love that. You sell the lucky pieces.
Yes, I do.
In all sense, but when you're getting ready for your day, it doesn't have to be a piece of clothing. Do you have something that either a ritual or something that you do before you go on QVC or before you're going to do something that's really important that you feel, okay, I got to put this on because it makes me feel good and I will do a better job?
No, I don't. I don't. I say a prayer and say, please, Lord, don't let me do anything really stupid.
So the one thing that I thought was when I was doing my research on you, I found it something that you did, and I loved what they said about you. Redefining the art of an executive mom. And I loved how they said that. I don't know if you came up with that or whoever wrote the article came up with it, but you are an executive mom. You raised children, you built a business, and the balance of that is difficult.
Well, I should clarify. My kids were in their teens before I started Fabulous Furs because I first and foremost wanted to be a great mom. And I don't know how women do it today, to have a demanding job and children. It seemed to me something would suffer. And so you got to put your family first. And, I didn't want my kids to feel like they were second best, that they were always first and then business. And I hope they feel that way. I think they feel that way.
But don't you think that as your children were teenagers, when they were really trying to process being adults, they saw their mom take something from nothing and build a business, and that helps them understand that you have good days and bad days? I mean, I think that was actually probably a really good time to have your children become adults, understand that process and what hard work means.
Well, they both have a wonderful work ethic. They're very conscientious. They're great citizens, giving back and, generous, and they're great parents. So I can't ask for more. But yeah, they definitely took that work ethic and created their own paths. Our son is in real estate, and Amanda, she's someone involved with Fabulous, well, probably really involved in Fabulous Furs right now, but she and her husband created a boutique hotel called Hotel Covington. And, that takes a lot of creativity and a lot of hands-on every day. So, yeah, they pick up challenges.
Talk about something that's happened in your life that didn't go like you had planned it to go and how that shaped your path.
How much time do you have? I think anybody who's ever done anything, maybe 10% of it works, 90% fails. A huge amount of failure in order to get a success. But, very close to home, to your home, Shop HQ. I was on Shop HQ. They were our business partner for 12 plus years. And then they went bankrupt. And it was a very painful 2-year process. And they're number 3 in the world of home shopping. There's QVC, HSN, and Shop HQ. Well, we're on QVC. So that was very disappointing, but without them, we would not have ended up on QVC.
Lemonade out of lemons.
Or just go cry yourself a river, right?
Did you ever struggle with imposter syndrome?
Yes, every day. Yeah, I think that's a real thing. And it's, I guess, a good thing to always feel a little driven.
Interesting. Yeah.
Thank you for being honest about that, because there's a lot of people that aren't.
They're lying.
I know they are, but a lot of people don't want to answer that question.
I know nothing. I can't speak for other people, but yes, every day.
What I'm hearing is surround yourself with good people. Patience. The inside is just as important as the outside. So the development of the inside of a garment, just as important as the outside.
And never judge a book by its cover.
A hillbilly could have a really beautiful design company.
Yeah. Oh, bravo to you. As you know, and as we talked about, giving back is very important to us and to you as well. You chose American Cancer Society as your organization to talk about for our nonprofit segment. What brought you to that choice?
Well, interesting how life goes. Our son had cancer, and it happened when he has 2 children, now teenagers, and they were, one a baby and one a toddler. And the thought occurred to us, they may never know their dad. And then my husband has had cancer. And when I was contacted to be a volunteer in 2021 for making strides against breast cancer, it didn't, that specific cancer, but everybody has cancer. Something about the way we eat or live is just terrible for the health of our country. So I said, I have never headed an important fundraiser like this, but I know some really smart women. And so we created a executive council of something like 13 women. And I think we raised almost $500,000. And I think they were looking for $250,000 or something. So we had an incredible success. But it also speaks to the corporate support that we had in Greater Cincinnati. And then we did it I chaired it the second year, And between those 2 years, we raised almost $1 million. And though Greater Cincinnati is like the 29th or 30th metropolitan size district in the country, we were in the top 3 of dollars raised. So I credit all that to the women. You can fill a committee with a few people, and if they all produce, wow, you say. And we would inspire one another, I think. Everybody was a producer. And you've been on committees when there's one lonely person who comes through and all the others, they never got around to it. And so, but, it was just a wonderful experience to have that kind of success for something that really, because the money stays regionally. The money goes to research and to provide services, cancer support services in Greater Cincinnati. That's what speaks to me.
That's fantastic. I have a feeling if we came into Covington and talked to people, they would have lots of incredible things to say about what you've done for that community and that region as a whole. And
thank you. I try. That's all. I try.
I think that's amazing. One of the things as I was pulling up, cancer.org is the broader American Cancer Society. And then, of course, they have chapters, right? But the mission is to improve the lives of people with cancer and their families through advocacy, research, and patient support to ensure everyone has an opportunity to prevent, detect, treat, and survive cancer. We forget about the prevention part of it because we're just living every day, right? But we all know people that have been down that road. So any amount of support is so appreciated. And we thank you for all that you've done. If people want to reach out to you, if people want to know more about Fabulous Furs and you, how do they do that?
We are on Instagram, Donna Salyers Fabulous Furs. And I was thrilled to see Tavia Hunt, her family, the Kansas City Chiefs. And she was wearing one of our red coat because it happens to be Kansas City red, a cherry red. And so Donna Salyers Fabulous Furs or online fabulousfurs.com.
Wonderful. And Donna is Donna, Salyers is Salyers.
You are on it, Katie. Thank you.
I'm looking at it, Donna. Don't give me that much credit. I got it in front of me. I will take credit where credit is due, not there. But thank you. From the bottom of our hearts, truly, we're so fortunate that Becky Leffler at Sweet Ivy connected us, and we thank you for your time.
Well, tell Becky hello. She's extraordinary. And it's been a pleasure to be with you too.
It was really, really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, truly, people, I think through the podcast, we're attracting this incredible group of women that other women are referring to us, that are coming through different channels. And Donna is just one more of those incredible women who focus on the growth and the positive and how to make things better.
Yes, she was so wonderful to listen to. And what a mentor for so many people. I don't even think she realizes what a mentor she is to so many other women. Just listening to her and watching her.
I agree. I bet, and I bet if we would have asked her that question, that would have been a great question to ask her is, does she actively mentor? I think whether it's active or I have a feeling she's the type of person you could call up, and I bet her female friends do. I bet any friends do, to be able to call up and say, hey, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. And she'll give them to you.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was thinking, like, I have like women that I'm thinking of like her and people we've had on our podcast. Wouldn't it be cool to have them all around the table and learn from it?
A summit.
Obviously, we can't do that, but there are so many different connections of women that I've had in my lifetime that would benefit from each other that don't even know each other. I mean, that's the cool thing about our podcast, Katie, is that they can learn about these women on our podcast.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like it's a bite-sized summit. You take it in pieces, depending.
Yes, and I don't want to say their names right now because I would be afraid I'd leave someone out that I haven't thought about yet. But maybe that's for another time.
Well, this certainly has been another enjoyable conversation. Thanks to all the phenomenal connections that we have. Again, thank you to Becky Leffler from Sweet Ivy for making this connection. And when I think about how fortunate we are to have each other, to have the people who support us and give us grace and give us nudges and support us. We are so fortunate, Lisa. And, it's that time of year, we're getting into the holidays, and I think we are fortunate to have the luxury of these friendships and associations.
I agree 100%. It's what makes me a better version of myself.
Absolutely.
Because if I didn't have this and I didn't meet these women, I wouldn't be the same person I am today talking on this podcast.
100%. 100%. And what do we all have in common? We all have a mirror.
We don't always look in it, but we have a mirror.
But when we do, what do we want? We want the best versions of ourselves looking back at us. And that's what we hope that we bring to you at the View in Your Mirror podcast, theviewinyourmirror.com. You get more information on us. You can see all the past issues. We could probably categorize them into, if you're in need of something, if you need a shot in the arm, here's who you should listen to. And we just want you to say you are the best version of yourself. And we hope we help you attain that. Until next time.